In Learning Objective A, we're going to use the slope-intercept form of a graph to actually graph a line. So let's first talk about what that is. The slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b, where the m stands for the slope and the b stands for the y-intercept. If I look at a picture of a graph of a line right here, the y-intercept, be careful, is right here where it crosses the y-axis. So that is what we call the y-intercept right there. And remember, again, the slope shows us the steepness. So we're defining y-intercept where line crosses the y-axis. So let's go ahead and start some problems. If they give you an equation of a line that looks something like 2x plus 3y equals 1, and they want you to get it in slope-intercept form. Remember, slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. So there are some steps you can follow. The first step is this. Write the equation in slope-intercept form by solving for, notice here, y. So what we'd have to do is get y by itself. Once you do that, I'll show you what this equation would actually look like if we solved it for y. Step 2 says after you solve it for y, then you want to find the y-intercept and plot that corresponding point. So what I would do is look at the graph that I have here, the equation, and notice that the y-intercept's the number by itself. It's 1/3. So I would graph 1/3. Which is roughly about right here, and plot the point. The next step then is to find the slope and use it to plot a point on the line. Another point, we'll say. After you do that, you're going to draw a line through the 2 points. So let me show you. The y-intercept we have is at positive 1/3, which is roughly here. From that point, I'm going to now identify the slope, which is right here. The slope is negative 2/3. And slope means rise over run, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to rise negative 3, or 2, so that means go down 2 from this point. Then I'm going to run 3, so I would go to the right 3. And then you would connect those dots. Let's do some of this more formally, though. So following the steps, step 1 says solve the equation for y. If we look at this one right here, to get y by itself, we need to keep that there. We have to move the 3/2 x. To do that, I'm going to subtract 3/2 x from each side. So I'm actually going to rewrite this and show you the algebra a little more formally. So here's what I'm going to do is minus 3/2 x from both sides, which will leave me with y equals 1 minus 3/2 x, which is what they're going to put over here in this blank. Now, you can change it. You can put this slope part first. Remember, it owns a sign in front of it. So if you do, you can either write this, or you can write it as negative 3/2 x. This is a positive 1 because there's no sign in front of it, plus 1. So either one of these is acceptable format. Now what you're going to do to graph in step 2, you're going to find the b or the y-intercept. The y-intercept is the number by itself, so I always like to write that down, that b is 1. And we're going to plot the point of the y-intercept at 1, which is right there. By the way, that's the ordered pair 0, 1. We're going to find the slope from the original equation that we solved, which is right here. So if the slope is negative 3/2, remember that means rise over run. So if you rise negative 3, that would be going down 3, because rise would be up or down. If you run, it's left or right. It's positive, so you're going to go right 2. So from the y-intercept, you actually move down 3, right 2, and plot your point. And then you're going to connect those points, and you are going to get your new line. Now, if you want to fill in the blank here, they're going to say, where's that second point land you? Well, this lands you at 2, negative 2. Let's look at 2 more examples. These two are actually in y equals mx plus b already, so they are solved for y. So all we have to do is read the m and the b. And I always like to write down m and b on the side. Now, be careful here. So if we go back to the number 1, the slope is always in front of the x. So by the way, there's the slope, 1/2. Now, there's no number here, so there actually is a y-intercept. It's just 0. So the first step is to plot the y-intercept at 0. So go to the y-axis, which is this guy here, and at 0 is right there. Now, from that point, we move the slope. So I have to go back to the slope. Remember, slope means rise over run. So if you rise 1, do you go up or down? You go up 1. If you run 2, it's either right or left, and this is going to be right 2. So from the point, I go up 1, right 2. Plot it, connect the dots. That's the equation of the line graphed out. Number 2. The slope again is the number in front of the x. So if you take a look at this, we see a negative sign. There's really a 1 sitting there, so it's a -1 slope. Now, slope is a fraction normally. It's rise over run. So a lot of the times you'll see a whole number, but you can make any number a fraction by putting it over 1. And now I just am able to see the rise and the run. The y-intercept on this one, again, is the number by itself, and it owns a sign so in front of it, so it's -2. So to sketch, go to the y-intercept of -2 to right here. From that point, I'm going to move the slope. If you rise -1, that's down 1. If you run +1, that's right 1. So from here, down 1, right 1, connect the dots. And look at the equation. Folks, this is a negative slope, and the line goes downhill, so my gut's telling me it seems reasonable. For more practice, I do want us to look at number 4. Let's say you had this equation and they wanted you to solve it or graph it using the slope-intercept form. Remember the first step said get y by itself. So to do that, I have to move this plus x. So I'm going to do minus x on both sides. I'll rewrite the equation here. So y equals 7 minus x. Now I can keep it in that form, or I can switch it. I can put the negative x first, and then there's no negative in front of the 7, so it's plus 7. Okay, identify the slope and y-intercept. The y-intercept's the number by itself. That's 7. The slope in this case is, again, the -1. And I'm going to do -1 over 1 to get my rise over run. So to sketch, I'm going to go to the y-intercept of 7, plot a point. From there, I'm going to rise, go down 1, run 1 to the right. So down 1, right 1. Down 1, right 1. Connect the dots. That's the equation of our line.